Hey, I got a question for you. Are you ready for the big one? Do you have a plan for the big one? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. That's the thing I want to talk about today. You know, the big one could be any number of things. It could be the hurricane that if you're down in Florida or the Carolinas or the Gulf Coast. It could be the Yellowstone caldera if you're pretty much anywhere in the world. It could be something else if you're on the West Coast. It could be something that they're talking about now, a big hole in the ocean floor. Have you heard about that? You know, when science tells us, now I don't believe, everything that so-called science says, but, global warming and that kind of crap. We know that science, so-called science, is as crooked and corrupt as our government. And the two work hand in hand very often, right? Why is science corrupt? Well, because it has to do with power and money and ego. That's pretty. I've known some scientists, and they are among the least inquisitive people I've ever known in my life. They are dedicated to the dogma of their scientific gods. Science is supposed to be about, we have seen that, haven't we? Have we seen that over the last few years? Oh, trust the science. Trust the science. Well, the science says something different than it said yesterday. That's all right. Trust the science we say today. But now we find that you lied to us. That's okay from now on. Trust us because we're scientists. Well, but there are some things that science indicates, and when you see that, it may not really fall into that category of promoting them ego-wise, money-wise, or influence-wise, then I think those are the things that we can kind of keep an eye on and give it some kind of credibility. And that's what I'm looking at with this big hole in the ocean floor out there off the Oregon coast that apparently they say could threaten the entire West Coast. Now, with the exception of San Francisco, the West Coast is a beautiful place. Yeah, it's full of a bunch of nuts and stuff. Too bad. Why do all the most beautiful places in the world get screwed up by the idiots? Well, we can't worry about that. And maybe science, maybe nature or God or nature's God, as the founders put it, is about to take care of that. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to read you this, and then we'll get back to that question of are you ready for the big one. They say red alert. And by the way, I'll put all the articles up on Patreon like I always do. If you're not with us on Patreon, the link's down below. Come join us. You get a lot of more stuff over there than you do on YouTube. Red alert for magnitude 9 mega earthquake off Pacific coast as crack discovered in 600-mile fault at the bottom of the ocean. Well, that can't be good, I wouldn't think. Where's this from? This is from the U.S. Sun. Okay, experts are on high alert amid fears a crack in the bottom of the ocean could trigger an apocalyptic earthquake. Well, that's kind of what we're all about, isn't it? The apocalyptic things. So we should give this some kind of consideration. It goes on. They've got pictures here, so if you go over there, you can see the pictures. The hole, just 50 miles off the coast of the U.S. state of Oregon, is spewing hot liquid that scientists warn could spark a magnitude 9 earthquake with the potential to devastate the West Coast. If we'll let all you good people out there live and just take out all your government employees, I know some of you, representatives, politicians, let me put it that way, it wouldn't be bad. It is located along a 600-mile fault line that stretches from California and to Canada, known as the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Although the hole was first spotted in 2015, scientists now warn that the liquid coming out is so-called fault lubricant, I would, for those of you out there familiar with biology in the human body, that would be like the synovial fluid in the joints, in the articula, in the joints, in the joint capsules. So it's so-called fault lubricant, which allows tectonic plates to move easily. Therefore, the more fluid that is in the cracks of the faults, the less pressure there is between the two tectonic plates. Without it, pressure beneath the Earth's crust can grow, leading to an unbelievably powerful quake. Scientists believe the Cascadia subduction zone will be responsible one day for the big one, an earthquake of such destruction not seen for centuries that could devastate many cities in the western continental United States. A robotic diver first found the hole 8 years ago after methane bubbles were seen rising from the ocean floor. Sonar images revealed the liquid was much warmer than the surrounding seawater. Co-author Evan Solomon, an oceanography professor at the University of Washington, who co-authored a report on the zone, said in a statement, "They explored in that direction, and what they saw was not just methane bubbles, but water coming out of the seafloor like a fire hose. That's something that I've never seen, and to my knowledge has not been observed before." He added, "Loss of fluid from the offshore megathrust interface through these strike-slip faults is important because it lowers the fluid pressure between the sediment particles and hence increases the friction between the oceanic and continental plates." Comparing the process to an air hockey table, he went on, "If the fluid pressure is high, it's like the air is turned on, meaning there's less friction and the two plates can slip. If the fluid pressure is low, the two plates will lock. That's when stress can build up." Subduction systems, where one tectonic plate slides over another, have been responsible for some of the deadliest earthquakes in recent years, including the 2011 quake in Japan that killed some 20,000 people. Scientists believe the last powerful quake in the Cascadia zone was in 1700. That tremor is believed to have been 30 times more powerful than the strongest predicted earthquake along the San Andreas Fault, which stretches the length of California. Solomon said that fluid being released from the fault zone is the first known site of its kind discovered. However, they believe that there may be similar holes that are yet to be discovered. The hole was named Pythias Oasis after the ancient Greek oracle who could foretell the future by hallucinating on the fumes emerging from a hot spring beneath the ground. Gee, speaking of hallucinating, maybe we ought to ask, what's that guy's name? Joe Rogan, what he feels about it. He could hallucinate and tell us what he sees about this. Report co-author Deborah Kelly said Pythias Oasis provides a rare window into processes acting deep in the seafloor, and its chemistry suggests this fluid comes from near the plate boundary. This suggests that the nearby faults regulate fluid pressure and mega thrust slip behavior along the central Cascadia subduction zone. All right, well, I guess that'll go along with your Cheerios today, right? So tell me, whoops, sorry. I've got this on my desk, and every time I move something, it moves everything else, kind of like the slippage of its tectonic plates. I'll get you straightened out there in a second. Yeah, well, I'm not a professional cameraman. I'm just here to talk about stuff. So what would happen? Are you ready for that? Are you ready if the big one hits? Whatever the big one is in your area, you know, we get consumed with what's going on a daily basis, and we should stay aware of it because those are immediate threats, whether it's to our food. I'm going to put up another one here in a second about that. Whether it's our food supply, whether it's our money supply, whether it's the world economy, whether it's the CBDC, whether it's the invasion across our southern border, whether it's corruption deep in our systems, our financial systems, our political systems, our religious systems in many cases, and all of these things are concerns. but we also need to stay aware of those things that are the natural threats. And you know, this is what preparedness is all about. General preparedness is a combination of basic and advanced preparedness. And it means that you are preparing for anything and everything. And that's what your plan should be. Some people, you know, will say, well, that's just too much. I just can't keep all that in my head. And my response would be, well, why not? It's life. Why don't you keep that thing? Why don't you keep these potential threats in your head? You don't have to let it destroy your life, but you do need to be involved in aggressive preparedness against whatever may come. So, you know, let me know what's going on before I let you go. I'll let you know. There is a way. This is why I wrote the Stonemont series. It talks about, this is about when the whole world comes down as a result of CME, and how to prepare for it, how to survive it, and how to rebuild for it. You know, and there's just so many people out there that just don't want to stretch their mental capacity to the point to where it goes beyond their immediate needs, and that's too bad. But those people are not going to be prepared. They're not going to make it, and I want you all to make it. You know, this in 6 books here, because it's so much more complicated than we can cover in, you know, our 10, 15, 20, 30-minute videos. Complete preparedness, I want to say, is possible. Too many people out there say, it just can't be done. I just can't do it. And I want to say, yes, it can. It can't be done if you don't think you can do it, because then you won't. But if you will put yourself on that track and say, okay, I'm accepting responsibility for making sure that me and those who depend on me, or that I and those who depend on me are going to survive whatever comes our way. And you know, this has been the way of history. There have always been those people that won't do what it takes, and then there has always been those few who will. Make sure that you're one of the few who will, okay? The books, the Stonemont series, it's a detailed battle plan for that. They're available on Amazon, link down below, in either Kindle or paperback, and they're available directly from me in autographed form through our new website, stonemont.us. That link is also down there, and that makes it easy to order from me. You can still mail me something if you want to send me a letter, and the address is down there too. If you want to send a check and mail me a note or a letter or a patch or whatever, you can still do that. But if you want to make it easy, now you can, you know, get on with your credit cards and just order them. And there's a place for you to tell me what you'd like me to sign. And it's so much easier, and that thing is exploding. But anyway, that's what I wrote about the full plan in there. Think about, do kind of a, do an audit. What am I ready for? What am I not ready for? Am I ready for the little things? Good. Am I ready for the big one? Because when the big one comes, all of a sudden it's there. It comes, and then it's over. And if you're not ready, there's no getting ready after that. So think about that. Like I say, I'll put this whole thing up over on Patreon. If you're not with us there, please come join us. There's so much more over there that's going to be helpful to you and interesting to you, and we'd love to have you. So remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.